Hi, it's Laura from the Yarn Closet in Tucson, Arizona. We are doing our Watch Wednesday. The allergies are getting worse and worse. No one with a citrus allergy should actually move to Arizona. Ugh. Once again, it's like 6:15, 6:20. It's going to be a short one today. It's been a rough week. Week 2 of our self-imposed quarantine business. We're in the midst of COVID-19. And that happened the other night. Look at her holding her cat as she fell asleep. She was totally asleep. I was cuddling right next to her, and that's what we do. We cuddle. She likes to watch a cartoon. We talk about stuff. I find that it's a calm time to, sorry, that was weird, chat with the kids and discuss stuff. By the way, Yarn Closet AZ on Instagram and the Yarn Closet blog over on Patreon. MawgeeKitty on Ravelry. I did do the Zoom on Monday. I thought that might be lunch hour-esque, and no one was available. I know I had only mentioned it that day. However, I had mentioned it a week earlier on Instagram. Sadie, quiet. She's been acting weird the last couple of days. I don't think she's been feeling good. So I may have to get up and get her. We're all trying to figure out things to keep our sanity and figure out, what we can and can't do. I will give my 2 cents here. My husband has a terminal lung disease, and he has a genetic component to that. He was tested, and he's got a genetic component that makes him more susceptible to the lung diseases. It also diminishes his autoimmune system, and there is a chance our daughter Prue has it. However, did not test at the time. Doctor said there's not much of a necessity in that in kids because these things develop in adulthood when things like pneumonia and more adult lung issues strike. Well, we're kind of regretting that now. It would be nice to know. Her school is sending out packets every week, and I told the teacher last night that I did not want to pick up the packet this week. We are absolutely trying to minimize everything, grocery delivery, and they drop it outside, and so we just take what we can get, and if we have to pay $4 to $6 for a pack of pasta that my son can eat, that's what we have to do, and minimize other things. That's what we have to do. And part of the issue is not just will we catch it and therefore potentially die. The people, they are now reporting that the people who are surviving this from other countries oftentimes have significant lung function loss. This attacks the surfactant, which keeps your lungs moist. They're like a sponge. And if they don't have that, they will develop scar tissue, they will harden, they will, overinflate and stay that way. And after living with my husband the last few years, I'm telling you people, that is not something you want. It is painful on a daily basis, and there are many more side effects to having significantly diminished lung function. Headaches, joint aches, muscle pain. Diminished lung function means areas of your body are not getting the oxygen that they need to the extent that they need them. And that is going to be a huge thing that we are going to have to deal with as a community, a society, is when all of this is over. How are people going to be able to function afterwards? How much you may have survived, but to what detriment do you now have to deal with? And I'm telling you, living with somebody, it's not pretty to watch. It's an exhausting. Having lung function loss is exhausting for the person. And I think that's something that a lot of media is glossing over and we're not hearing about. And there's just this general consensus at this stage in the United States that, well, just sanitize, just stay 6 feet apart, you won't get it. Well, so the teacher explained to me that their process was to do the paperwork on Wednesday, let it sit for 2 days. When you pick it up Friday morning, which isn't 48 hours, it's a little more than a day if you're not finishing them until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But just because you let them sit doesn't mean that the germs are magically going to go away. And then you've got people who have to touch them and hand them to you. And even if they're wearing gloves, they're not wearing face masks. And when I had to go to the pharmacy yesterday because they stopped our delivery, the pharmacy tech was wearing one glove and touching everything else with his ungloved hand. And I understand that he's touching stuff with his gloved hands, and those things are then still getting transferred, but at least he's keeping himself safe to some extent. And the response was, well, if you don't want to come pick it up, then we'll have someone drop it off for you. You know what? It's K4. It's not a required year. She's not required until first grade. That's not even next year. I have worksheets she can do here. I have books. I have other things. I have all the online resources. We can go through all the lessons online without having a worksheet here. If someone just wants to bow out, we should respect that at this point, especially in such a situation. So that's my experience. I still may be getting the darn packet, whatever. It's a tough call these days. And then the one upside to having to go get the prescription yesterday, because I was told that our delivery was canceled and that if I didn't get it yesterday, the medication would go to the next person on the list, was that I got to ride my son's new trike. I had one years ago that had 26-inch tires. That was a challenge. It was very tall. This one has 20-inch tires. I do like being lower. The one thing I don't like is just how close it seems like the gear change thing is, because this has multiple speeds. And so I got to stop at my parents' old townhouse. They had dropped off some of the food they kept at their apartment that was stuff that my son would eat, whatever. And so I got to pick up all of that and have have a few extra things. I am telling you, even with multiple speeds, our little tiny hills are tough. But it was a bit of a workout and something, because we're already going stir crazy. I think just because we've lived under so much stress already. My son is starting to, school takes twice as long, 3 hours to 6 hours a day. We have to do many more breaks in between classes. There is much sitting down, reading a question, standing up, walking around and pacing for a while, sitting down and answering it. Not because he doesn't know, but just he's on the spectrum, and it's trying to cope with the stress of what's going on. The stress of not being able to be with people that he loves, knowing that there's this lack of the foods that he eats on a regular basis. I mean, who thought that the shelves would continue to look the way they're looking? I guess I don't exactly understand why it seems like in other areas they're getting back to more normal, and we're not here. It's Arizona. I don't know. Maybe we have more militia off in the desert than we realize. That was a joke, people. That was a joke. And I don't want to keep talking about this. I want to knit. So life is different. I hope that we can start recommending to each other ways to get through some of this stress. And I hope, as ridiculous as it sounds, we stop panicking about the next worst part of this and just living in the day and the joy that this is creating, because I am loving being in my four walls with my family. I am loving that my kids are, when we can let the stress of school and all this other stuff go, they're playing in more creative ways. They're watching less. They're just seeming to be more considerate. And that, to me, is always a good example of what I need to be as a parent. I'm doing the best I can with my voice, people. We had 1,000 bees in our tree yesterday. I mean, we are peaking right now, so hopefully next week I'll be much better. What do I have to talk about? I haven't done much since Monday on anything other than my Willard-inspired sport weight sweater. So here's the deal. I started top down. The Willard has a turtleneck, which I'm not doing. I live in Tucson. But the Willard has garter ridge detailing. So that's what I did around my neckline. This is my neckline. This is knit out of sport weight merino. It's called My Favorite Ice Cream from Stranded Dye Works in England, now Scotland. She just moved to Scotland a few months ago. So when I finished the first skein, I was going to put in a wide stripe of this color that I have in a solid, and then do the second skein, because I could not figure out how to alternate with top-down raglan. Okay, because what I wanted to do was helical knitting. I didn't want to have a seam. I thought about alternating in the middle of my back. So if there was a bit of a seam, it looked like it was there for structural reasons. And if you can hear my stomach, I'm very sorry. I do try to do that 12-hour fasting business, so I don't eat after like 6:30 at night. till about 6:30 in the morning, and I think we're just hitting 6:30 now. So I do like the way the neckline's working out. Okay. Trying to figure out when exactly I could stop was difficult. I think I should have been a little bit more aggressive about putting it on wires that I could actually try it on better. But I have a number of books that give the numbers. If this is your gauge, and this is your size, and this is what you're doing, this is what you want to do. So looking at that, also going by Laura of the Knit Girls, she's mentioned over the years that her measurement from here to here when she splits on a raglan is 9 inches. She is a very tall woman, like my daughter will be someday. And so this is slightly stretched out, and it's at about 9 inches. I'm okay if it has a bit more of a dolman fit, if I end up keeping this for myself. I was intending it for a gift. So what I did was, I wasn't quite done with the first skein. I went ahead and put my sleeves on holders, and then, let's see if I can do this without losing any stitches. I went ahead and started in with the second skein, helical knitting.
Doing this while Dad's listening, so it makes me extracted so I don't wake him up. And he also needs to
Okay, go potty before you wet your pants. If you wet your pants, you can get new pants in your bedroom, in your dresser. She's FaceTiming my mother. She must have woken her up. That's lovely. So I'm doing the helical knitting. And okay. Do you see that? Where do you think the helical knitting started? Because I've already ended it. I've already kind of worked to the end of that first skein, and now I'm just doing the new skein. I mean, you can't tell, and you can't tell. Like, I don't think there's going to be any obvious pooling or anything else. So that is a joyful thing, because I really do want to see what it's like to have a lighter weight t-shirty style sweater for me here in Arizona. Even if I give it away, I'm certainly going to try it on before I give it away, because we're about the same size. I just think this is a better color for her because she's got a darker complexion. Did you do okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to say hi to your mom?
I would love to say hi to my mom. Hi, Mom. Aren't you happy that you're awake?
Yes.
I'm her child and you're her child.
Yes. I'm podcasting, though, right now.
Yeah.
So can I go do that? You want to go in your room and talk to Grandma?
Well,
Okay.
and if you want to
If I want to see her, I will come in there when I'm done. Sorry. Yes, you're on my knees. That's why we're so close today. Because I'm just lazy and no, I haven't brushed my hair yet. It'll look better once I brush it. Who cares? I'm not seeing anybody other than you. I bet you haven't brushed your hair. I bet you are still in your pajamas. So it's going really well, and I'm really excited. And did you hear about Knit Stars? Knit Stars is this somewhat expensive, like, online retreat where you get classes from a variety of people. But you can go to Knit Stars right now, and for free, you can get a lesson from Mason-Dixon Knitters. And I did it yesterday, and I have gone through a few of the sections. There's like 9 different little sections. Room now, please. Oh, you need something? Okay. And one of the things they talked about was how in the beginning of their knitting, they used to do the DK and the worsted weight sweaters. They just didn't think they had that many stitches in them. I think that all the time. I think, do I have that many stitches in me? Do I have that pattern in me? And they said that one of the things is that now they almost entirely do fingering weight sweaters because it really is the fabric that they want, the drape that they want, the garment that they're going to end up wearing. Because the reality is, if I could only make 4 sweaters a year, but I actually wore them on a regular basis, yes, I would be much happier with that. So I am taking that one to heart. And I'm also realizing that and sometimes a little faster than this, but most of the time I'm not. And I don't think anybody is that super crazy fast unless they're really pushing themselves. And then are you really enjoying the knitting, or are you just enjoying the end result of the knitting? So I'm really taking that to heart because once I got this figured out, the top went pretty quickly. And so I think that if I just started to swatch correctly, trust my gauge, follow instructions with moderate tweaks, that I'd be happier and I'd get things done a little bit more quickly. I am finding that some patterning that is like just a few row repeat, that's easy to memorize, where I don't have to go back to a chart. Ooh, I just got that on my hair. This has eucalyptus in it, which is great for my sinuses. And yes, I did order some essential oil in a cedar wood because I could not ever find the kind of pine woodsy scent that I wanted last year. Even the pine that I got in essential oils doesn't smell like pine. So I'm hoping that the cedar wood smells a little more woodsy. And I've tried the vaporizer ones for the oils, and they die on me pretty quickly, it seems. So now I have just the ceramic ones with the wicks. And I like those, although it doesn't scent as much as I'd like it to. But I have this called utterdelight.com, and they are an Arizona company. It's 100% natural. It's arnica self. You can read what's in it because I can't read that writing, but I do believe, if I remember, rosemary? Oh, thyme. Maybe it's not eucalyptus. I love the arnica. I've got a couple of other arnica things. Yeah, I can't read that. But it's also got olive oil in it, so it's very moist. You can see that it's shiny, but it doesn't feel greasy at this point. It's very nice. It works well when I'm working with wooden needles. It's just a smidge greasy on the metals, but also these are the square ones. these are those nitpick square ones, and the squareness is not super square. Where's my light gonna make this work? See, and you don't look, and the other day on Zoom, you didn't look very good to me, so I don't know if I'm having problems with focus or what. So these are not my favorite of the square needles, but they're not the worst. And then I did just get these Addy Novell, and I love a 16, people. I love a 16 for so many things. And that's just the only thing I could find in the size that I wanted. And these are a bit hammered. I think it's crazy. One thing I haven't done with any of these yet is put them through a needle gauge. Does that even still work? But they're lightweight metal, but they feel a little bit heavier than those other ones that were plasticky feeling. And I'm liking it because you hold them so much more lightly. I really wish that I had one of those flat panel treadmills for this time of the year so I could just stay in and get a little more exercise. Because when I have the allergies, my brain doesn't function real well. And so doing some of my Lucy Wyndham Reed workouts on YouTube is kind of a challenge. Because my coordination suffers. And I would love to be able to learn how to just walk on a treadmill and knit at the same time, because I think that I could do it. I absolutely think that I could do it. Yes, I can walk in place, but it's not exactly the same thing. And then if I put one of them in the kids' rooms, would one of the cats walk with me? Our cats live predominantly in each child's bedroom and the bathrooms throughout the day because of the big dog. And then at night, they're all over the house. And sometimes in the early morning, they're all over the house because the big dogs tend to sleep in. And the cats don't have a problem with little Chip. My husband. Yes, that was very whispery, people, very whispery. So I think I might just end today and tell you to look with your heart first. One of the funny things is, as my daughter's been online schooling, that's how she's ending all of her little chats and recordings, is look with your heart first. So that is absolutely joyful for me that she has picked up on that. All right, here. This is outside. I'm doing this for you. Can you hear the birds? Do you see we're getting our grass? It's the shed that the rabbits live under. Can you see any of them? I don't know how the clarity is, but a lot of times you can see the birds sitting on the big palm tree fronds and the arborvitaes. I think those are arborvitaes. But yes, we are. Can we hear? The bees wouldn't be active this early. It's a little too. You see the big grapefruit tree? My husband cut over 700 pounds of branches and leaves and stuff out of there just December. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed those moments. Morning doves. Can you hear them? Look with your heart first. We will talk again soon.